Alright guys, it's been a minute since I have posted, so I would like to update you guys on everything that's been going on. So, the two accounts that I was trading with last video, I was able to pull a total of $8,000 combined on both the accounts, so that's pretty good. But there's been some bad news. I decided to get 10 accounts. So I remember last video I ended off with 5 accounts, and I decided to get another 5 accounts and combine them to 10. With that being said, I wanted to use TradeOvate's copy trader, but TradeOvate's copy trader is a lot different than it is on Alpha Futures or Top Step. Top Step and Alpha Futures, it's more of a leader follower follower. Trade on the other hand, is more of a each account is on its own, but the micros or minis that you put into the accounts are all divided. With that being said, I didn't know this at the time, but if you put a stop loss and a take profit on one account, it does not follow on all the other accounts. So when I was in a trade, I had only put a stop loss on one account, and all the accounts, when I woke up, they were eviscerated, gone. It sucks to say that that happened, but I'm glad that happened instead of me actually blowing the accounts. But also, as well, this is a very big learning lesson to do a little bit more research on Tradeovate. And now I know what to do and what not to do. But also, too, I realized my emotional standpoint on trading with 10 accounts, and I realized that it probably wouldn't have gone well at the end of the day. It's a lot, it's way too much for me to emotionally handle. I think the max amount of accounts I have traded was 6 before, and 10 is too much. It's too far, and I'm going to stick back to the regular plan of just scaling. So we're going to start with 3 to 4 accounts and go from there, and slowly start to scale up. That was the plan originally. I decided to off track it and I fucked up. And you know what? It's good to internalize what went wrong, fix what went wrong, and realize that that was a mistake. Even though I didn't blow it on, breaking rules, it's good to know that it's too much for me to manage 10 accounts right now. And also, it was a learning lesson with, the copy trading. Anyways, we'll cut back to a trading recap. Goodbye. So we are trading China session. New York session decided to pump really, really high, taking a lot of higher forms of liquidity and a lot of relative equal highs on the higher time frame. We are currently in a 1 hour imbalance, and I am taking the change of state downward because we are super extended on higher time frame. My limit order that you see that isn't tapped into got edged 3 times. Because I am playing off of a strict model, there are going to be times where I get edged. And according to my data, the times that I get edged, it ends up going in the direction I want it to. So I decided to take a 1 minute inversion on the highest premium that I could get on this whole leg up, and decided to use that. It luckily formed a 5 minute rejection block, but that kind of stumbled me into an issue of going break even and letting price go up to that and getting stopped out, or letting my stop loss ride out until the very end. I decided mid trade to just let the stop loss do its thing and not go break even, solely because of the purpose of we are in a lot of gaps, daily gaps and weekly gaps, and there's a chance that we go back up there to fill lower. So I decide right there not to go break even and let this ride out. I'm only really risking $100 to $150 in this trade, so it wasn't really much of an issue for me to, you know, lose. Right here, this is the highest point where I think price will likely rebalance to that 5 minute rejection block, solely because it's paired with a 15 minute imbalance and the hourly CE, and you can see it react pretty strongly to it. I'm currently in my bed during this trade, so I didn't see any of this happen. And I woke up into take profit.
All right. What's going on, guys? So this morning I woke up early. I had a very strong suspicion that my stop loss got violated. And we were going to head towards my second limit order. Typically, when I lose my first trade, I'll allow myself to enter into another trade, within good reason. With that being said, we'll kind of go over everything and my, I guess, bias for today. Um, I'm not sure if there was news or anything that went on. Just because I trade London session and Asia session, I don't really worry too much about news. But for this current trade that I was in, which was my last trade that I won, I was kind of being cautious about that, so we'll kind of go over everything. So today the bias was very bullish. As you guys can see, we took this daily candle out, so I kind of expected something to happen in the long along the lines of like we should be going up now, right? With that being said, my first what's it called? Trade on my limit order had to have been, if I can recall, somewhere here. Um, I didn't even get to get anything off this move. It was just more of a just immediately stopped out. This trade I wasn't so sure of, so I wasn't really worried about me losing that. The second one, I was kind of like, all right, bro, like this is fucking gay. We sweep all this liquidity right here on the daily. So I was expecting price to come into this rejection block. This is also paired with an hour order block as well as on the 4 hour, and it's aligned with an hour CE of the um, imbalance on the hourly. So it looks like price later on into the day tapped into it, but I was fully convinced that this would start rallying higher. With that being said, I decided to take the trade off of this rebalance on this gap on the 5 minute. Um, just because I know with my data that there are some pretty good re-entries. I wasn't awake for this price action, so I really was just looking for something more. With that being said, this also aligned with the CE on the 15 minute, so I wasn't really worried about entering off that. What I expected and wanted to happen was this to tap into this CE and immediately reject off of this gap. And it did so pretty well. I think I was risking like, I want to say $90, but I was barely in any drawdown. Um, I really don't trade New York sessions, so I was trading with 6 micros, and it was kind of scary just because if I went any more down, I would have been uncomfortable with the amount I'm risking. Um, this trade was around $1,000, but I was on TikTok doom scrolling, and I also lost $150 on the trade previous. So that was pretty unfortunate. So I think I got away with $600. Not bad, I believe. I ended off this week on $1,700. So that's not terrible. It's better than a negative balance. So I'll keep you guys updated on the next trade. See ya. All right, guys. What's going on? So I decided to take this second entry on this trade. I got edged by 1 point, which sucked, but that shit happens all the time. I was targeting these equal highs. We unfortunately were kind of just chopping up here. And typically, when I'm on my second entry, if I'm already up $600, I start to play very careful. Solely because, like, I already missed my first entry. I don't want to lose on my second entry if I'm already up in significant profit. Um, with that being said, I kind of expect this to kind of start pushing down into these lows before we rebalance higher. I expect this whole week to be bullish unless Iran or us bombs each other. So I'll keep that in mind. We already swept these relative equal lows. We have a big displacement downside. So it's either we take these lows out or we start to rebalance higher. With that being said, today's trade was relatively quick. I believe I made like what, $900 on each account, so not too terrible. Take what you can get, and I'll see you guys in the next.
So today we lost two trades. The first trade I wasn't home for. I was at my dad's house, so couldn't really record that one. But I was taking my second trade of the day. Thought it was a pretty good setup. Because I lost my trade previous, I went break even relatively fast, just because I want to minimize the amount of loss that I already have on the day. We trailed the stop loss to the next highest interest of where price is likely to reverse, and I think my P&L for the day is negative 100 on each account, so it's not too bad. But as far as that goes, I'll see you guys in the next trade
All
recap.
right, so I'm gonna end the video off here. Next week, I should be getting an $8,000 payout, and it's still pretty early into the month, so I may stretch it to 16. We'll see. I'm not trying to rush it or anything. It's not really a due date. It's kind of just like a laxed due date. Um, I was trying to post this when getting my payout, but it's just been too long since the last time I posted, especially because I had the issue with the copy trading on TradeOvate. I kind of ruined like this month a little bit. I really only was able to trade on these new accounts for about like a week and a half or like a week and 2 days. So I kind of just want to get this video out there. Hopefully next video will be quicker just because I'm already like more than halfway done with getting this payout. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.